What's up, guys? Shaka Daniels here, and I want to get into a couple things in this video. I want to get into the top performing cryptocurrencies of 2016. The list is pretty long. I want to get into Bitcoin's being integrated into Starbucks app through iPay. I want to get into the importance of being able to read charts, even if you don't want to trade. All right, let's start it off with the top performing cryptocurrencies of 2016. There's a lot of them. Okay, we have Monero. Monero went from, I'm thinking 50 cents. When I first discovered Monero was about 50 cents. I thought it was a really good idea, but I didn't jump on it, so I missed a big move. But I think Monero went from the 50 cents to $1 range up to where it is now. So we're seeing it at about $10. So that's about a 20 times move. All right. Now, don't quote me exactly on the numbers because it might be a little bit less than that. It might have went from 75 cents to where we see it, or $1 maybe. But if I'm correct, it went from about the 50 cents range, the 50 cents to $1 range, to $10 where we see it now. All right. Yes, I am correct. I'm thinking that's right. Okay, we have Coin. Coin is pretty interesting. A lot of people like to talk about Coin. Coin has, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking they have something like a decentralized open bazaar. Even though open bazaar, is decentralized, but they have a different model of kind of like an open bazaar. I'm thinking storage is another pretty good cryptocurrency. At least the idea, people like to say it's like Airbnb for your CPU, as Vitalik would call Gollum. And either your CPU or your GPU, I'm not sure, but it's basically like renting out or lending out your computing power and receiving payment for it. All right. We have Ethereum. Ethereum is a funny one because it did perform well, but it's in a sharp reversal. A lot of people who held Ethereum were in denial, and that fits into the later topic that I'm going to talk about, the importance of being able to read charts even if you don't want to trade. But that's another story. So Ethereum did perform well in 2016, but multiple slip-ups like the DAO and multiple hard forks and the creation of Ethereum Classic and different things, held Ethereum back. So it did push up, but it didn't hold with strength, pun intended. Factom, we have Factom. Factom performed very well, and in 2016, seeing highs of, I think, $3.20. Was it the other day? It pushed up to $3.20. So that was interesting. And they just keep getting different grants and stuff like that, and they're tied to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So they're not chaining themselves to one ship. Whichever, if one fails, I'm not saying either one is going to fail, but if one fails, it won't be affected. And I'm pretty sure they can integrate into other blockchains that they feel are good ideas as well. But other blockchains have to prove themselves a little bit before Factom would tie into it. All right, we have Dash. Dash is a good idea. I think that they kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit when they try to down Bitcoin, but then you still have to use Bitcoin to buy Dash. So I think like they kind of shoot themselves in the foot with that one a little bit. And also, its Dash's utility is kind of low, just like a lot of other altcoins, so they're not at fault for that, but their utility is kind of low. And for their utility being low and them not truly having anonymous transactions, and that's one of the main things that they speak about, because we all know coin mixing isn't really anonymous, because there's Bitcoin coin mixers and Bitcoin isn't anonymous. All right. So, but things that they do have, because I'm not beating up on Dash, I like the fact that I like Dash's governance model. All right. They're ahead of the time. They're ahead of their time with that. And the masternode thing, even though the masternode thing to me is a little bit funny, because I don't know, but I would assume that a lot of early adopters, including people on the core team and just a lot of people who had like a hand on the inside early on, they have a lot of the masternodes, I would assume. But the whole masternode thing holds up the price. So the masternode thing to me is a better version of Steam Power. Steam Power was supposed to hold up the price of Steam somewhat, or have it not fluctuate so much. But Dash's masternodes do that much better than Steam Power. All right, we have Bitcoin. Of course, the big boy Bitcoin, the boss Bitcoin, the OG Bitcoin. All right. We have Augur. I'm not going to even count Augur. I'm not going to. Yeah, Litecoin and Ripple. So those are your top performing cryptocurrencies for 2016. All right. That's an interesting list. All of these coins that I named on this list have somewhat of a strong community behind them, and a lot of people that believe in these things. All right, so that's top performing cryptocurrencies in 2016. I think in 2017, excuse me, we're gonna get a lot of breakouts in altcoins. The reason that I say this is because the way that the altcoins are reacting during Bitcoin's up moves. Some of them are dropping off, yes, but they're not dropping off as sharply as I would have expected. And if you guys didn't notice, when Bitcoin was consolidating when Bitcoin consolidates anywhere for the last month or so, all alts have taken off within the slightest consolidation. Whether it consolidated for to me, you need 3 days, 3 candlesticks in a certain area to be consolidation. So as soon as Bitcoin consolidated for 2-3 days, we've seen a lot of alts break out. Ethereum Classic, Factum, Monero. We saw a lot of up moves. So not all altcoins are going to break out in 2017, but we're going to see some moves in 2017 after Bitcoin breaks out and settles and find a new higher support level up there. We're going to see some moves in the better altcoins. All right, now let's talk about Starbucks and iPayU. iPayU is integrating Bitcoin into the Starbucks app. All right, now this isn't Starbucks themselves accepting Bitcoin, but the more that things like this pick up, or the more that things like this happen, I think Starbucks is going to get a step closer to accepting Bitcoin themselves. All right. And when that happens, that's going to be a lot of good publicity for Bitcoin. And yeah, but right now I pay you. It's still a conversion of Bitcoin to cash behind the scenes. All right, so that's happening. And the last thing I want to talk about, guys, is the importance of being able to read charts. All right, if you don't have to know how to trade, you don't have to want to know how to trade. All right, but you should want to know how to be able to read price action. All right, you should be able to want to notice a trend. These are simple things that you don't have to be a master trader to understand. Maybe the price action a little bit more. All right, but I have a simple system where I teach price action signals and different things like that. But you should want to be able to know what trend the market is in. All right, if the market is ranging, if the market is consolidating. All right, just for your own investment tools. All right, these are not just trading tools, these are also investment tools. All right, I know a lot of people that do not trade, but they can read the charts. Maybe not as in depth as someone like Tone Vase, Ty Zen, and myself, but they still can read the charts. All right, and these simple chart reading skills that they have allow them to say, okay, this coin that I'm in is in a downtrend. All right, it has broken previous lows. All right, it's under the moving averages right now. The moving averages, well, we're not going to get into that. All right, you don't really need to know that, but you should want to have a basic understanding of chart reading. It's going to help you. It's going to help you not buy on the way down. I hear a lot of people talking about buying on the way down, and that has some truth to it, but it's not just buying on the way down. It's not just that, guys. It's deeper than what it sounds like. All right, and I also teach this to my students in the one-on-one trainings. All right, it's not just buying on the way down, because you're trying to predict where it's going to level out at, and that's gambling. All right, so try to get some basic chart reading skills, guys. If you're interested in my one-on-one trainings, contact me, chasethatcoin@gmail.com, or just contact me there just to say hi. Follow me on Twitter @chasethatcoin. All right. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, please click the bell next to the subscribe button so you can get notified as soon as I bring my videos out. I hope 2017 is a great year for Bitcoin and all cryptocurrencies alike. And yeah, keep chasing those coins, ladies and gentlemen.